You're listening to Great Scott, the Office Podcast. My name is Jay Ray. With me is my desk mate, Jacob.
Hey guys, how's it going? Sorry we missed last time, but it was Easter or was that 2 times ago? I don't remember. Whatever it was, we're sorry. We life gets in the way. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I will say just to peel the curtain back for our lives here. I was having internet trouble, and nothing tests your relationship with anybody, friends, roommates, significant others, more than not having internet for 3 days. That was a rough one.
You actually have to spend time with them and stuff?
Yeah, well, what we ended up doing is we played a lot of retro games. So we are playing tons of Mario Party 3 and N64 and all that jazz, which was nice. And then we went to PAX the weekend after, and we were still feeling nostalgia for it. So I ended up buying a F-Zero X and NBA Jam, which apparently I didn't have.
Oh, original NBA Jam or tournament edition or
Original.
Nice.
Although I do got to say it's lacking a little bit. There's not a lot going on there.
Yeah, tournament edition when you can actually have the rosters and move them around and stuff. That's a sweet spot.
Yeah, because it seems like the shtick so far is you get the ball, just go dunk the ball.
Right.
There's no reason to pass it or go for threes or anything.
Unless you get on fire, then you just
yeah, then you might as well shoot it from wherever the hell you are.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what that is. But I did miss the show, and I'm happy to be back.
Yes. So we are, as always, a member of the Broken Jars Broadcasting family. You can check us out at brokenjars.xyz. I have a new podcast. So if you're into simulation modeling engineering, you have a podcast now, which there's 12 of us, so you probably don't care. But we also have our Patreon, patreon.com/brokenjars. If you would like to give us some of your hard-earned money. If you would like to help me out, I'm doing something for my little brother and his family. He's had some issues with addiction and meth and arrest and all this other stuff. Long spiel, but there's a link in the GoFundMe. So if you want to help me out, do something special for him for his birthday that's coming up, that'd be great. If not, just skip over this and we'll get to the episode right now.
Boom.
Unless J-Ray wants to say something.
No, that's it. I got nothing. So we got 2 episodes for you. We are right in the middle of season 7, and we're going to kick it off with Wolf.com.
Right. Directed by Danny Leiner.
Yeah, I'll take it.
I've realized with this show, I'm terrible with names. I have no idea how to pronounce anything.
Oh, yeah. No idea.
And written by Aaron Schuer.
Good old Aaron Schuer.
This is a pretty sort of iconic cold open where there's a power outage and it resets the server.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to get into this server and they're trying to figure out what the password is.
So they do some little mental recall. They're like, okay, well, an IT guy probably set it up. So who are IT guys? And we go through this list of IT guys that we've seen, plus people that we haven't seen. Mostly people we haven't seen, actually.
Right. And, it's very, from what we saw in Lecture Circuit, very Michael, glasses, turban, ear hair, fatty 3, so-and-so, fatty 2, coffer.
Yeah.
And fatso.
And it seems like this was set up way back with, I think, Fatso.
Right. Well, they said it was 8 years ago, so that would have been 2003 for The Office. So before the show started, essentially.
So there's a lot of options going around how to solve this password issue. Dwight is very logical about it by starting with 00000000001.
Right, but the thing is, even then, you don't even know how long the password is, right?
Right. It could have just been 0, 1, 2, yeah.
Right.
So they try to look at who this IT guy was, and I guess this person said the password and it offended Pam.
But Michael thought it was funny.
That's right. So someone says, try big boobs. Someone else adds, try it with a Z.
And it works.
Yeah. Now let me ask you, was it just big boobs generally? or was someone making a reference towards Pam?
I mean, could have been.
I mean, that
I-
seems like egregious, right? Like particularly bad if someone looks at Pam and then makes the office password this thing. I'm hoping it's more like these two dudes, Michael and Fatso or whichever IT guy was. They're just like, this is a funny thing. How will we?
Right. Like, I don't know. I just never thought of. I mean, if I was gonna look at her, I'd be like, I mean, she's not small, but she's not big either. I mean, that
I
would be
don't.
the first thing that popped in my head if I, were like, oh, I'm gonna make a password, big boobs because of Pam.
Okay, okay. I don't know what type of pornographic films you may be watching, Jacob, but I would like to think that Jenna Fisher is pretty well endowed, but
I mean, she's not small, but she's not like big.
medium boobs with a Z.
Yeah,
Maybe.
she's medium boobs. Yeah.
Boy, all of the female listeners are now gone.
Yep, all three of you. Bye. It
That's
was
our
nice
bad.
knowing you.
Yeah. All right. So that's it. Everything's back. It's great. Everybody's happy.
Right. We get in the episode, and the big sort of a storyline is Wolf.com. So we've seen it. Like our first introduction to Wolf was in the season opener, right?
Mhm.
And the whatever the lip sync. And
Right.
it is essentially it will send if you send one message to Wolf, it will get in touch with you.
Yeah, it does a text message, a phone call through multiple different phones, a fax, email.
I assume you have to set all this stuff up.
I
Like
would imagine that's true.
right. So which, in general is actually a really good idea if you weren't Ryan.
It's something, right? It's something that a company could really kind of take and run with, because if you think about it, depending, because like, what do you think? This is like a consumer to consumer product like Twitter, or are you thinking like business to consumer?
Or, I mean, all the above. I mean, hypothetical, your significant other has some kind of medical thing or is pregnant and they all have to do is click one button and no matter where you are in the planet, it's going to find you. I mean, that would have some real applications. Or, be able to do stuff like, active shooter alerts or, things like that. It would be, I mean, it's much more of a pedestrian sort of emergency notification, which they get into in the episode. But I mean, that is not a terrible idea. Granted, now with
Right.
smartphones being what they are,
I mean, they kind of serve that purpose, right? Yeah.
now they do. I mean, granted, back this was 2011. I mean, it wasn't quite the same, and we still had notifications and stuff. But I mean, someone can send me 30 different notifications to my phone right now from Twitter and text and Discord and Skype and
Right.
everything else, emails.
Yeah. So we find out that quite a few people in the office are actually invested into Woof.com.
Right. So how much I mean, it can't be that much money, right? Or do you think it's like $500, $1,000, like
From Pam, or how much Ryan's?
per person? Like, what's
person.
the investment floor, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, it's got like $1,000 at most. I mean, I don't know the technology behind what Ryan's doing. Because is this like all fresh tech that he's doing, or is he have a middleware that connects to the various other systems that will do that for him?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. And it's something I was going to bring up later, but now is a good time as any. Like, do you think Ryan has the technical prowess to pull off Wolf? From what we've seen from Ryan, do you think he has because that's some pretty serious, back end coding you got to do to get all this stuff to link up, unless he's just like piggybacking on someone else's tech.
Right. Yeah, I don't think. I think it's probably piggybacking. I mean, one, this is like right in the middle of like skeevy Ryan, right? He's got nude photos of Kelly. He's, trying to position himself as this like Zuckerberg kind of thing. Yeah, so I think he's just he's Frankenstein something together with stuff that exists.
Some like hacker would be just sitting there like collecting all this data because there's no security. It's like the password is like password for the for the main
Yeah,
database.
yeah. I'd like to see Ryan have to talk at Congress about it.
Well, he did have to testify in his own defense. I'm guessing for trying to, destroy Dunder Mifflin 3 seasons
Right,
ago.
right.
What I love is like, so Ryan's using the color printer in the office, and Aaron is not happy about it. Like, look at all this color. Like, he's wasting all this stuff. And she tries to go to Pam, and like Pam shuts her down.
Right. Yeah, and then that's kind of like the first reveal there is that she's kind of being biased toward Ryan to be able to print out these marketing materials. But we find out the other people who are investing. So Michael,
Mm-hmm.
Daryl,
Right.
Andy, and Stanley
Right.
are all investors into this lovely, lovely business that Ryan's got rocking.
Right. And wow, I just totally lost my train of thought. But yeah, we do learn later that Michael's like the majority shareholder. So I guess like Michael's probably dumped like several $1,000s into this.
Yeah, that's right.
And how much like they run so many like side projects out of the office. I wonder how much of the Dunder Mifflin like office budget, like printers and all like printer ink and all that stuff actually goes to work, and how much of it is just like people using for their own personal projects.
That is a great point. Probably too much. I wonder if they noticed odd odd numbers at the Scranton branch back in season 3, and maybe that could have been why they were like, "There's just too much loss over here. Let's just cut them because these people don't know how to not print shit."
uh like the sort of the B storyline rolling through all this is Dwight's hay place. So he brings in all this hay to the parking lot for it's a Thanksgiving thing.
Mhm.
Um, and so we learned that the petting zoo is open till 2, and the goat roast is at 3.
Right, that's exactly right. I
Have you ever
wonder, yeah, I wonder why they're so close together.
have you ever had goat? It's pretty tasty.
Have I ever told you my terrible story about goat
Yes,
chicken?
that's right. That's right. You
Yeah.
did tell us about your terrible story.
Yeah. That being said, I might have eaten goat. My dad was not the most forthcoming person when it came to that kind of food stuff, but yeah.
Right. And we learned that like Dwight's uncle had like hay. He would make a hay place, and like his cousin called it Hay World,
Right.
and they like got lawyers involved to like figure out what it would be called.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I want to see like young Dwight in a suit, like sitting there, like trying to like argue legal precedent from like 1742.
Right. Exactly. It's like, my cow peed on that hay, so technically I own it.
Well, Dwight being Dwight, he would pull in some like obscure law from like like the German,
Well, I was gonna say I could see him maybe even go further back to like Germanic tribes.
yeah, like
It's like
tribal
it was
laws.
traditional, yeah. And he's got all types of weird things. So there's the labyrinth there. There's jumping hay bales, not to be confused with the show hay bales, which are just there to look at. He offers a roll in the hay for $5.
Yeah.
Do you think Dwight sees the euphemism in that?
No.
No, I agree. I don't think so.
He's got the hayride where they put him in like close up a box truck with some bales of hay.
Yeah, so it's like pitch black in there, and a bunch of kids are in the back of a truck while it drives a block or whatever.
And this is one of the things that always shows up on Reddit every once in a while, where like the kid who ends up playing his nephew in season 9 is one of the kids in the truck.
Oh, right.
His sister's kid.
Yeah.
And we see him one more time in that terrible backdoor pilot.
Yeah. It was great. I'm excited to get there. And And then this other thing that's going on, so kind of like a C storyline.
Yeah, it's both these episodes have a very ABC structure.
Yeah, it's because like none of these stories like matter in the long scheme of things, so they just
Yeah.
kind of chuck quite a bit. But
Mhm.
Jim's on a hot streak,
Right.
so he's making big sales. They're coming in fast, and he should be based on Saber's rules, making quite a bit of money,
Right. And then he hits his commission cap,
which is
which
a
is
brand new thing.
right. So I this is something that's always bothered me. Like, it, why would they change their mind so drastically from sales is king to like less than a year later commission cap?
Yeah, I wondered if maybe like is it possible that the Dunder Mifflin branch was doing too well?
Well, yeah,
I
but
don't
you would
understand pricing models, so I don't know at what point could it be that you're selling so much that the commissions for the reps is causing you to lose money. That might not even make sense math wise, but
I mean, you would think that that wouldn't be possible, right? You know, they would get a percentage. I mean, unless you were just cutting your like margin so thin, it just doesn't make sense. Like this is one of the few, well, not one of the few things, but this is definitely one of the things where I'm just like, this is done just for the story, and it bothers me.
yeah, it's not great. And I mean, it seems like oddly enough that Jim is the one who hits the cap and not like Dwight, who's been proven to be an award-winning sales representative.
Right, but Dwight's been busy this year with the new building.
Uh,
So maybe he's still doing good, but he also said that Jim got on a hot streak, so maybe he just like racked up 4 or 5 real big sales in a row, and there's no telling. Maybe it's like a quarterly thing, or
yeah. I mean, I guess Jim being a slacker, it seems odd that he'd be the first one to hit that cap and not
well,
Stanley
I
or
mean, as he
Phillips.
does say, he can convince Cece to have mush carrots over a boob, and if he can convince the kid, he can convince anybody.
I mean, you might want to go for some mush carrots, considering you're not a fan of Jenna Fisher's breasticles, but that's
Oh
fine.
no, 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 no! I
No,
didn't
no,
say.
it's too
I did
late.
not
It's too late.
say that
It's
I was not.
already been recorded. It's done, man.
No, Jenna, if you're listening, I love you.
God, if you're listening, please stop. I'm so sorry. Quick side note: I don't know if you how Instagrammy you are,
Eh,
but Angela Kinsey has an Instagram, and there is a fan Instagram of hers that is specifically about a jacket she has called Angela's vending machine jacket. So I don't know if you're familiar with the clothing company Uniqlo.
no.
Lots of Asian imagery, very like kind of simple clothing, but like bold colors, yada yada. It doesn't matter. There's a vending machine, I guess, that sells jackets and regular jackets, like 70, 80, $100 jackets, but they're just tightly bundled into like a thing, kind of Japanese style, how you can get everything in a vending machine. So Angela had taken a picture of her buying this jacket on Instagram. And over the course of the time she's owned it, taken quite a few pictures with the jacket just because she needed a jacket, right?
Right.
So this person noticed it and created a whole Instagram account just based on reposting pictures of Angela's jacket. And it's like, it's got tons of followers. It's like almost as many followers as she does. It was reported on BuzzFeed, which is not that hard because people submit shit, but crazy, very crazy. It's an interesting thing to watch because who the hell cares? Anyways, back to Jenna Fisher's boobs. Um, yeah, so no, I mean that could be. I mean, like you said, it's really just for the story, so whatever. But
Right. Well, but this does kind of come back into play a little bit, where because this is the birth of Lloyd Gross, who they make up to circumvent the sales cap.
right.
So and that drives a plot to near the tail end of season 8.
Yeah, right. That's right. Um, so Jim finds himself with nothing to do.
I think I would have gone home. Well, I mean, he's got Pan there, so I would have gone home and just come back and picked her up if I like. There's no reason to be there.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been and never want to be a salesperson, so I'm curious what like a work agreement looks in that regard. So they can't make commission, and I would imagine that their salary is it wholly based on commission only?
Well, the
It's
question
usually
is,
like a supplement.
is it salary? Are they salaried or are they hourly? If they're salary, he's going to make that money regardless.
Right, right,
And since he's already maxed out his commission, in my mind, he's fulfilled his duty for his salary and
right,
his commission.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I feels I probably would still show up. I'm always worried about getting fired. That's how I live. But
Well, I mean, you show up, but you leave at lunch. I mean,
well, you have a long lunch.
yeah,
The line at Chick-fil-A was too long. Sorry,
yeah.
sorry. I've been out for 3 hours. Yeah.
Or just go like to the sports bar and we have a few beers and then
Or
come back.
come back with a couple bags from GameStop. Oh, sorry, there was a sale. Um, let's see. So, what else is going on here?
Oh, well, if we find out that Stanley wants a decommissioned lighthouse.
That'll take him to space.
Right.
He
So,
has this whole long explanation.
well, because I was curious. You can actually buy decommissioned lighthouses, and some of them are very expensive because they're very not like some people have like completely renovated these things. And,
Right.
depending on where they are, because they're lighthouses, obviously they're near the ocean. You can, they're very expensive, like 1.5 million. But if I had the money, I'd probably buy one because they look really nice.
Yeah. If wouldn't there be like weathering issues, flooding?
I mean, there could be. I mean, really depends on where the lighthouse is. If it's way up on a cliff or something, that may not be a big deal.
Because Bioshock has taught me that there's not really rooms in a lighthouse. There's like the bottom, and then there's like the top.
Right. Well, the ones I was looking at, like there was like a house that the lighthouse was like a part of.
Attached to. Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay. Okay. No, I want to live in the lighthouse. I want all my walls to be slightly rounded and throw off all of my posters and shit like that.
And with an elevator down to Rapture.
God no. God no. That place is a mess. They got to call some cops down there or something.
Or up to Columbia. Yeah, Columbia.
A little bit better, but I'm brown, so I don't know if I'd fare well there either. So I think just a regular old lighthouse with no elevators going up or down. Let's stay here.
Ryan's talking to Oscar, and we find out that Wolf has 9 solid days before they run out of money.
Right.
So is it like that they like at the end of 9 days they can't afford the server space anymore? Like what is the cost structure? Is it just like servers and that kind of thing, or is he just like burning money on? Well, we know he's burning money on stupid shit, but
right, yeah, that's what I figured. Like maybe in 9 days, the next bill is due for his server costs or whatever, and like that's when he's going to be out.
Right, and Michael's not happy because earlier in the episode they talked about doing an investor ski trip, and he'd already bought the poles.
That's right, the most essential part of your skiing attire, just the poles.
And then I actually do own my own snowboards. That's one of my cool things. I haven't used it in forever, but I do own it.
That's cool. I went. We had like a ski club at my high school, but it really was an annual field trip to a skiing place. Like it was hardly a club.
Mm-hmm.
No one talked about it. You just went. Someone made out in the back of the bus, and it was creepy. And then you got hurt, and then came back. And I had gone to snowboard, and I never snowboarded, so I rented one. And my first time down a hill, I kind of like tripped up, fell on my back, and slid because it was very icy. My jacket comes up and then untucks my sweater and my shirt and everything. And I just had this crazy ice burn across my back. It was terrible.
That sucks.
So, but that's cool. You have snowboards. It's terrible. I'm not very athletic, I guess. That's what I've learned through my 30 years of life. You
gotta take if you go, just anyone listening, go ski, snowboard, take lessons. Don't try to do it on your own. You're gonna get yourself hurt. Take lessons.
Yeah, because I skateboard, I was like, maybe that translate, and it does not. But
does.
Inline skating translated to ice skating, kind of a bit.
Yeah, well, it's much more of a similar motion.
That's why I thought it would work out, but boy, howdy, was I wrong.
So we've got this like board of directors meeting with everybody in the conference room talking about Wolf, and how they have they have an offer from Washington University, and but then Ryan goes on this marketing pitch about like, oh look, it's we got T-shirts and condoms. Who's that in the helicopter?
Yeah.
Oh look, it's Ryan from Wolf.
Wolf guy. Yeah.
And I did look at it. So 500 custom condoms cost you about 75 cents a condom. So
that's like a wholesale price.
Yeah. So he was talking. I think he said he had 50,000 of them. So I'm guessing he spent like 25 grand on Wolf condoms.
Do you think he approached Michael's grandma?
Well, I mean, he did. Michael did make money on that investment, so maybe.
Right.
It's
could be.
And then we have this whole, Facebook thing where, Kelly is saying it's her idea and she's going to sue him.
Yeah, that she's being, what are those kids called? The Winklevoss twins?
Winklevoss, yeah.
Pam dropping bombs on Mike.
Oh, yeah, like she's like...
I scrolled way too far. You don't have to, that's my bad.
There's a scene, it's really funny, where like Michael is in the break room sorting trash into whites and colors.
Oh, yeah.
And Pam's, actually the first time I caught this, Pam's like, we don't do that. And one, you don't separate trash into whites and colors.
That's right.
He's like, just did it for 8 years.
Yeah.
Been doing this for 8 years. And Pam just kind of like get in his face about like, look, Ryan doesn't like you nearly as much as you like him.
Yeah. I just to hop back to I have seen like you recycle brown glass and green glass and clear glass differently.
I can see that.
But that
because the coloring is due to different properties of the glass itself.
Yeah, so I'll say that. So maybe Michael had heard that like loosely and just thought it was all garbage things.
I want to know, like, do you think he was also doing this at his house or at his condo?
Sure. Like everywhere, yeah. And Jan probably never even brought it up. She's just like, oh boy, that's a weird Michael thing.
And like he probably like left notes on each stack of trash, right? Like, for the trash cats, they're like, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah.
So part of Jim being bored is he's going around trying to find anything to do.
Yeah.
And Creed's like, hey, I hear you're looking for work, kid. And he goes like in this really creepy thing about his pretty long arms.
Yeah.
It's super creepy.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of like Office Olympics, except no one's got a game. It becomes like this weird like, let's learn about different areas of the office here.
Yeah, like it's just one of those things where it's just like, wow, Creed, you're weird.
Yeah. Let's see. My majority shareholder, first appearance of the senator.
Yeah. Senator shows up. So this is a big storyline. It starts something that lasts through the rest of the series.
Yeah.
So we meet the senator. Seems super nice. And I don't know the actor's name who plays the senator, but every time I've seen him, he's always been like a really like terrible person.
Well, so the only other time I recall, and I saw him first on Heroes, right?
Right.
And he wasn't like terrible. We thought he was terrible for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And he ends up being just like an overprotective dad or whatever.
Mm-hmm. He was in Castle, the show with Nathan Fillion.
I never saw that show.
The first 3 or 4 seasons are great, but he plays a bad guy in there that's like he's sort of the big bad that lasts for like 4 or 5 seasons.
Then I can see why people would think he's not such a hot guy.
But every time I see him, he seems like a terrible person.
All right, that's fair. Yeah, well, so his character is not great here either. But he's got his kid, and he's trying to enjoy the hay place. And he bumps into Angela, and that's what they say. The rest is history.
The rest is history. Yes. So do you? I kind of wonder if the writers knew where they were going with the senator. Like, do you think that when they brought? Do you think this was meant to be just like a cameo, or was it like something more? Like, do they think they had a plan for him when they brought him in?
I think they had a plan. I guess I couldn't guess as to how far they had planned on making the story go out, but it's by the end of season 7 that Oscar, or at least in season 7, Oscar's already saying he thinks the senator's gay.
I think it's actually in like the next episode or two.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I think it starts at the Christmas party.
Because I'm trying to think. It's not until season 9 that it's revealed that Oscar's been banging the senator. Is that right?
I thought there were some in season 8.
Yeah, so maybe it's like hinted at. But I guess we get the confirmation in 9. But then they break up in 9 also. I mean, everything happens in 9 because that's the end. But
Right.
yeah, so I don't know. I mean, because I guess it could have easily have been a thing that fell off. I mean, they get married in season 8,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a child in season 8, even though
Right.
it's probably Dwight's because of all that contractual banging.
Well, no, but the child was not from the contractual banging. She was cheating on the senator with Dwight.
Oh, right. So after the contract has,
Right, because at the end of this episode, she voids the contract.
right, that's right.
So it kind of makes me wonder what in the contract allowed her to void it that Dwight couldn't, because he wanted to void it, but he was obligated. So I wonder, like, what kind of clause in there? Like, why does she get the "I found somebody" clause? Or maybe it's a mutual dissolving clause where like she knew she wanted out, so if she says it's out, it's done. I don't know.
Right, because he's been hinting at it, and if she agrees, then it's done.
Right.
Yeah, that could be. Either way, the love between Angela and Dwight is real.
Yep.
Contract or none. That's what the whole show is here to teach us.
It is. And Angela, it's a weird thing because like Angela is very, I mean, tend to be a very moral kind of person, but like Dwight's her sticking spot. She's got to have the D from Dwight.
Right. She's got to have D's D.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So it's such a weird thing that she's like always going back to him. You think eventually she'd just stop.
Right. Yeah. It's hard to explain. But relationships make people do weird things, I think, is all I can say about that.
Yeah, we all have that one person, or had that one person that we just like kept getting drawn back to.
It's terrible.
So sort of two big things coming on. Like, Ryan's trying to convince Michael to get a second mortgage on his condo,
Right.
which would be terrible.
Everybody's doing it though.
No one regrets it. And there's this great intervention with like everyone else. They pull like Daryl just like rips Ryan out of his little closet office, which I think I would love to have, like a little like I would love to have a door. If I could have a door, I'd be a happy camper.
Door's nice. I don't know if I'm a fan of having your back to that door. Like I'd maybe try to put myself at least sideways.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a closet. He doesn't have a lot of options in terms of feng shui, but yeah, that's fair. Yeah. So he's kind of being stared down by all of his investors, and they're just like, "You got to sell, you little dope."
And like Michael comes in and is like, "Look, I'm not going to sell," but he like gives it to Ryan. He's like, "Look, you've got 9 days to save all of our money."
Right.
And I don't know, like I feel that Michael had an idea that Ryan would sell. Like this is sort of one of those closing up of the Michael storyline in The Office and Michael getting some wins.
Right. And like, a real kind of look at Michael's skill as like reading people and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching the beginning of the series again, and I just went through the Chili's episode, and like Michael's got skills, right?
Right. It's
He's
what makes him a great sales guy.
right. So like in this instance, yeah, he like knows this thing about Ryan, even though he's lying to himself about the friendship. Yeah, and right. The show wants us to see that again before
Well,
Michael's.
and even in that spiel is like, look, Ryan's a terrible friend,
Yeah,
but he's a
that's right.
smart he's smart and he shoots super high and all this other stuff. So I think it was a really savvy move on Michael's part to not force Ryan to do something, but sort of force Ryan to do something.
Right.
Because Ryan's always kind of just run away, when things have gotten really hard.
Yeah. It's kind of his shtick.
Yeah, he went to,
Or he'll go to jail.
or goes to Thailand or
Yeah.
the Silicon Prairie or wherever the hell he went in Tallahassee. Did he just go back to Scranton?
I think so. Yeah. But it works. It ends up working out.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't take too long, and Ryan comes back to Michael's office. Oh no. Does he wolf it to him?
He woofs it to everybody that like he sold.
That's right. Yeah.
So I wonder like how much like this is also another weird question. Like, yeah, so it's the Washington University Public Health Fund is what how much were they willing to pay for that domain?
Right, because all the investors got their money back, right?
Right. So like to me, if you're a big thing and you really want that one specific thing, like maybe $5,000.
Right.
I mean, and it's not like it's a specific URL like, sales.com or something, something big.
Yeah, it's this weird assortment of letters.
Mm-hmm.
.com.
So like I don't know, like maybe $5,000.
Yeah, maybe.
So it's really hard to say how much money had been dumped into Wolf.
Well, because also too, in terms of like that particular part of Washington University, it's like how much money do they have? Like, what are they doing? Why do they need a website?
Right.
Like it's kind of like the lamer part of Washington University,
Yeah, there's no talent. I mean, granted, if it's anything like UPMC is here in Pennsylvania, it's huge.
Right.
Because the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center is the largest employer in the state of Pennsylvania.
Mm.
I mean, so if it's like that, then yeah, they got billions of dollars. If not, then it's, probably not. It just really depends.
Well, and two, it's just like, I don't know. Do they need a .com? Their university. Could they do an EDU?
Right.
Yeah.
So we have this sort of monologue voiceover from Michael where he's like, Ryan, he's a jack, and Ryan or Jim's an ace. Dwight's the king up my sleeve, which is not the expression.
That's right.
Oscar is my queen. It's like, I'll please give you something easy.
Yeah.
Pam's a solid 7.
Yeah.
Like, come on, solid 7. Like, seriously, Michael, come on. She's at least an 8.5. Probably.
Well, I mean, especially in Scranton. I mean, she's got to be a 9 in Scranton. And you know what? If you're from Scranton, fuck you. That's what you get. Live in a real place.
I was trying to remember what Ryan ranked her in season 5. Was it like a Scranton 8?
It was like a Scranton 8 and like a New York City like 6 or something like that.
Oh, Ryan, you're a terrible person.
Yeah.
So we sort of roll up this episode with, because Jim's been trying to figure out something to do, and earlier Gabe sort of like pulled him aside, like, can you please look busy? This looks bad. And he gives him this whole spiel about sometimes you have these policies you don't like my gym allowing full nudity in the dressing room or whatever. And so like Jim edits very well, which it's obviously not him doing it, but
Right.
edits a thing where, Joe's calling and he gets Gabe to listen to, I guess, the entire audiobook.
Yeah, because it's what he does. It like he cuts out like three. Like he creates three new sentences
Mm-hmm.
to start this whole thing, and then then he just plays the audiobook that he stole these sentences from. Yeah, and it's just funny watching Jim like figure out Gabe. Out of
Gabe
Gabe
Bastard.
Yeah, Gabe Bastard. That's it.
So, what do you think of this episode?
I'm a sucker for the ensemble episodes. I like when everybody's kind of involved or whatever. Ryan, I don't think I'll ever be a fan of Ryan again, though. He's just so far away and such a weird guy. So the fact that it focused on him isn't great, but I'm going to give it a 3.7 out of 5 baby carrots.
Nice. Yeah, I was watching this episode, and it's fun, it's light, it's pretty breezy because of the ABC storylines. And I feel like I like this episode more than I should. Like, objectively, I should probably give it a lower score, but I'm going to give this 4 out of 5 solid 7s.
Nice.
I couldn't resist the number play in there.
Right. So next up, we've got China.
Season 7, episode 10. Written by Charles
Nope. Directed by
Charles McDougall, and written by Halstead Sullivan and Warren Lieberstein. Toby Bro coming in.
Toby Bro. Real quick aside. So I had sent you this article that was making its rounds across the internet, but that oral history of Dinner Party, fascinating read. Really.
Oh, absolutely. You should Google it. So it was a Rolling Stone article, I think. Yeah. The oral history of the Dinner Party. It's a long read, but it's worth every minute of it.
Yeah, every statement said is just fascinating. So you watch that and then watch the bloopers for season 4.
I need to, now that I know there is an extended Dinner Party episode, I have to find it.
Yeah, right.
There is an officially cut, and apparently it was on iTunes for a while, and NBC, I guess, pulled it.
Yeah. Like a 28-minute version of that episode.
Oh God, I couldn't imagine another 7 more minutes. I mean, that's another third more of Dinner Party. Could you imagine?
No, I don't want to imagine it. It's terrible. Okay, China.
We open up with Dwight. He is trying to do everything with his feet.
Yeah.
Because apparently that's an important thing to him.
Yeah, Dwight's always just trying to be the peak human form,
But is it though? I mean, we evolved to quit using our feet like that, so maybe it's not the peak human form.
Yeah, I mean, he makes a comment about how primates are able to do it, and maybe that they're a little bit more efficient or something like that.
I guess. I mean, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough. And ultimately it doesn't work out for him because through the hilarity, he spills hot coffee on his own.
Jim being him, he's brings him hot coffee. But what I love about it is Dwight's he knows what's going to happen. And he does it anyway. He's not going to back down. And Jim, gives him the hand for the high five. And undaunted, he, gives him the foot for the high five.
Yeah. Well, and he tries to, not, right? He gives him the coffee, and then he's like, all right, Dwight, I'm just kidding. Don't do this, obviously.
Right.
Dwight does
Dwight, I love it. I love it. He's just yep, this is how it's going to go.
Terrible. So the actual episode starts, and Michael comes into the office, and he is in a bit of a panic.
Right. Because everything is made in China. Because there was, like, he read a Newsweek article about China and how they were really growing and all this other stuff.
Right.
Which, this is exactly the thing that Michael would freak out about. And
Right.
exactly, like, I feel like this is like a very, very, very in character study of Michael here.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. He hasn't fully absorbed what he read, even though what he read probably had opinions in it. He's
Right.
just feeling stressed out about having the information now, you know?
Mm. Right. And it's also funny because, like, there's this like trade war thing going on, which kind of ended quickly, but still, having this come back up in today's
Yeah.
society 7
Yeah.
years later. But but the thing is, like, even then, like, manufacturing was starting to pull out China, especially the like lower end manufacturing. So, like, even that information was dated.
Right. Right. Um, yeah, everything's made in China. Um, I don't know why. Yeah, what the hell was it? You know Peter Stormare?
No,
You ever watch Fargo, the flick?
no,
You ever watch Constantine?
yes.
He was Lucifer.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I don't know why I did that. I should have just brought up Armageddon, which I'm sure you saw.
Yes.
It just made me think about like him smashing everything with a wrench in the spaceship. He's all like, Russian components, American components, all made in Taiwan. Yeah, which is true. Everything is made over there. Not anymore though. Not with Fuhrer Trump doing all the fun things he's doing with duties and stuff. But that's for another show called "I Barely Understand Politics, but I'm still mad about it."
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So he's bugging out, and then eventually Oscar tries to chime in and be the voice of reason.
With his actually.
Uh-huh. And as all arguments do nowadays, especially in an office that's connected to the internet, someone Googles it, and we find out that Michael is actually the more informed individual in the chat, and it kind of
About this one very
thing.
specific thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that you sort of see getting built up in Oscar over the last, like, probably like half season or so, of him being this sort of know-it-all douchebag.
Right.
But everyone just is needling him incessantly about it, about how, like, Michael is smarter than Oscar.
Right.
Because I guess Oscar, and you kind of see this more in season 8, but Oscar fancies himself as the smartest person in the office.
Yep. Yeah, oddly enough, also a quick aside, that's all I'm doing tonight. I barely want to talk about the shows. I just want to talk about things I've seen. There was a GIF walking around of Oscar Nunez participating in like a celebrity bowling tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently he's good because the GIF showed him throwing a strike and then coming back around and then laying on the ground before him and doing like a pose. Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah. It wasn't a bad ball. It wasn't a bad ball I threw. Yeah.
Oh, you saw it. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I posted it into the Discord.
Oh, I didn't see it there. That's crazy. What am I supposed to check that thing every day?
Kind of. It's for the show.
Oh, yeah. That's what I mean. I check it all the time. Okay.
So what the other thing that's sort of going on? Well, this is again an ABC storyline. So sort of the B or maybe A2 storyline is Dwight has started making all these changes to the building to save money.
Right.
He's put in motion sensors, half plied the toilet paper, which, I mean, at least in all the offices I've worked in, I don't know how you would split that toilet paper any thinner than it already is.
Yeah, like what the hell is half apply?
I don't know.
Yeah. And like, how is Stanley able to identify half apply?
But you can buy 3-ply toilet paper, and it's pretty nice.
Well, that's what I mean. I always thought apply was just like one layer.
Right.
So then there's one layer is one ply. So how do you know it's half apply, Stanley? But it's fine.
Yeah, you don't get Dwight started on how coddled the modern anus.
That's right. If he had his way, we'd all be sneezing into anuses to strengthen them.
Oh my God. Oh, that's just like the start of a terrible, terrible porn.
I mean, it's the kind of adult artistic film that we'd all be watching in college, huddled around a laptop, right there with two girls in one cup and cake farts.
See that like I'm one of those people like I I don't like no, I live by the rule. You cannot unsee certain things, and that's why I just like I never saw two girls one cup because I avoided it like the plague.
Well, you're missing out, Jacob, because
Am I?
it's terrifying. It's disgusting. Let me tell you the story about how I saw it. I was at a music festival in New York City. I was in the hotel room in between shows with all the other radio station kids I was sharing the room with because we were poor. Someone pulls out their laptop and says, "Hey, you have to see this thing." His co-host on his show was there, and he was like, "I can't watch this again." So there's like 8 of us huddled around a computer watching this terrible thing unfold, and the other dude is across the room, can't see it, but like I don't know if the volume was on or if he's like looking at the way the light is flickering off our faces or whatever. But as the screen gets worse, you look up at him and he starts like almost throwing up and he's gagging and coughing and he's grabbing onto things to hold on to. It's an art piece, Jacob. And but anyways, it's terrible and it should be a crime. That's really what that should be.
Right. And then like he puts up this like exterminator billboard thing on the building. And so everyone's like coming down on Pam, like, Pam, fix it. You're the office administrator. You know, according to Michael, this is why he hired her as the office administrator.
Right.
She didn't.
That's also correct. Yeah. But she kind of steps it up and goes and she starts like, let me have a meeting with Dwight. Let's talk about it. So she has to schedule one with Nate.
Mm-hmm.
And like during their meeting in his office, the lights go out.
Right.
You got to do one of these things here.
What I love is like she calls Nate to schedule the meeting, right?
Right.
And Dwight, who's sitting right across from Pam, is like, hey, tell her I'm busy. And Nate comes back and is like, yeah, Dwight's being questioned by the police about dog nappings.
Yeah.
Like, of all the things to make up, I mean, come on.
So, what do you disagree with the coddled anus? Is that what you disagree with, Jacob? Point number 15.
No. I don't remember exactly what it was, but Jim says something to Dwight, and Dwight says, that's not a full sentence. And Jim's like, I disagree with.
I disagree with. That's right. Oh, I see. There it is. I get it. It's an office joke. I never seen that show, so. So how does Michael find out about the world's tallest man?
Aaron is Googling or Wikipediaing stuff in his office because we know how much Michael loves Wikipedia.
Yeah. So, and he says, so much for keeping our secrets up high, which is just terrible. I mean, one, to think that's a legitimate strategy, and two, to think all Asian people, specifically Chinese folks, are that short. That, like, they couldn't just get a ladder and reach up to something. Whatever it is.
Let's see. Just because I had to look it up. Actually, the tallest known person was an American at 8'11". Damn.
I mean, living, though? Or of all time?
I don't all time. I don't know what living is.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many people in China that you're gonna get some really 8'1". Is the tallest living person.
I see 8 feet 2.8 inches.
Well,
his name is Sultan Kozin from Turkey. Oh, that's from 2011.
Yeah. Sultan took the title. Whatever. Anyway, it doesn't really matter.
But there was this dude Bao Zhushun, who was the tallest living man up until 2009.
Right.
Just does reference, and he was from China.
There you go. There's a billion Chinese people. You're gonna have some really tall people and some really short people because just law of averages.
Yeah, I mean there's genetics, there's rules.
Yeah,
so it is kind of surprising.
Yeah. So whatever. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Windows is trying to restart my computer. I'm not going to let it.
Don't let it do it.
It threw me off. So what I love is they're in the main office area. I don't remember exactly what they're talking about, but Aaron brings up this idea of hiring somebody, taking out a giant life insurance policy on them, and then killing them for the money because
Right.
she thinks they're doing that to her for
Right.
some reason.
Right. And Michael goes, I don't know what the fuck that was about.
I would love to see like a backstory, like just the inner workings of Aaron's mind, because
Yeah.
it's like a hall of mirrors, sideshow thing.
Yeah.
Like I shouldn't laugh. She had a hard childhood, but still.
I mean, please laugh. It's okay. She can't hear us. So we find out about Oscar's actually stuff. There's a small story about texting here.
Mm-hmm.
Daryl is tired of Andy texting him all the time about nonsense, including, "Are you watching this?" with Daryl in the same room, clearly watching what this is.
Right. But I mean, we totally know that Andy would be that friend that you only reply to like 1 out of every 20 texts because 19 of them are just stupid.
Yeah, it's like a meme that was on the front page of Imager or Reddit like 2 months ago.
Right.
And he just saw it reposted for the first time.
Yeah, I would watch an entire show about Andy and Imager, like in like kind of like memes around the office.
So Oscar's the smartest guy in the office, right?
Yeah, at least that's what everyone kind of says, and that's what Michael says. He's the smartest guy in the office.
I mean, what do you think? I guess they must be talking about like not just common sense, but like stuff.
I mean, if you're gonna go like book smart, like academic intelligence, I would probably go Oscar. But I mean, there's so many different types of intelligence because Jim's obviously a sharp guy. Dwight is smart in his own way.
I mean, he's a farmer, right? A successful beet farmer.
Right. He can run his own business, that kind of stuff. But like, it's sort of academia trivia knowledge. Definitely Oscar. Oscar's that guy. At least he seems like the guy who would actually read the entire Wall Street Journal and the New York Times.
Right.
From end to end.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan went to business school, if that's worth anything. Didn't learn anything, but
it doesn't hurt, but you don't have to be that smart. I mean, I made it through with a 3.75 out of business school. So.
Well, there you go.
There's this great scene in there where the Angela's in the break room and the lights go out and she's too short to activate the motion sensors.
Yeah.
So going back for the side plot with the office itself, Pam, for whatever reason, decides to make up an office space.
Yeah, I figured to kind of like bluff Dwight into being a better building manager, right?
Right. And so, one, this seems to be her like MO for like being an office admin is just like be full on corrupt.
Right.
That's later. It's like, I'm full on corrupt. Or is that hasn't happened with Andy's computer yet?
Not yet. Yeah.
But yeah, she bluffed her way into the position. But you got to figure there's probably some nicer office spaces in that area, right? There's got to be.
Yeah, it's a whole office park.
Right, but I mean, just within, you drop a pin on the office. Within a mile of that pin, there's probably a dozen or more offices available to rent.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like, I bet this whole part of Scranton is just dedicated to offices and warehouses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that would be the only issue is finding a place with the warehouse.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't necessarily have to be, they don't have to be the same location, but it makes things easier. You can just go down there.
The warehouse could stay there, really. He doesn't seem to
it doesn't have to move.
Yeah.
But it would be nice. So maybe that would be a thing, but still. So like it always smells like steak and it's on a bike path and it's got Korean dry cleaners and white nail people, which is something
Yeah,
for
the other way around.
okay, white dry cleaners and Korean
Korean
nail.
nail people, which is
Wait,
good for Kelly. Kelly likes it.
Kelly's so racist, it's hilarious.
She's pretty racist. Um, yeah, I mean, everybody seems to be digging on it, and it kind of seems like, what is it, in 6 months or so, Pam is going to work with people to get the office moved.
Right, I think it was 3, but whatever.
Yeah.
And there's this great scene back in like the break room where they're all kind of there, and Michael walks in, and Jim's like, "Oh, look at all this brain power!" And
Yeah.
they start egging him on, and like, Oscar gets pissed, and this is when it comes up. This is the story of actually. He's like, there's this great line from Jim. He's like, "Yeah, Oscar really fits that old stereotype of the smug gay Mexican."
That's right.
Now, as a brown person, does that offend you? Like,
wow, that's offensive, Jacob, because I'm not Mexican.
you're
yeah, I mean, I think to enjoy, well, it's tough because I guess to enjoy comedy, all you have to do is laugh at other people. But yeah, you do have to kind of have a sense of like, it's all jokes. I mean, also too, not for nothing, but Oscar says he was born in America, so like his his ethnicity is Mexican, but
right.
He is just a straight old American gay guy,
right,
living in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
That is something like I was thinking about in this episode is besides Michael, you don't really get and Andy especially in season 8. A lot of these people just exist. You don't get a lot of like family backstory of, oh, this terrible thing happened, so this is why they are this way.
Right.
Most of these people, Oscar just is who he is. It's not because he was raised a certain way or whatever.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a really interesting dynamic that there's a lot of people they don't go beyond them. Like we never really see Jim's parents.
Right.
Pam's family is really minor. Aaron doesn't have a family. Andy's parents are terrible. Dwight's, you sort of get some sense with Dwight a bit more, but we do learn that like Michael's mom was terrible.
Well, was his mom terrible? It seemed like he had real problems with his mom's second husband.
Right, but there was something I remember I was talking about how like she seemed like she just didn't really understand it. Like I don't
because like is it her fault that he dressed in suits or not?
Right.
Someone had to get him those suits though.
Yeah, maybe it's just the way he was.
Yeah, he's just
the way he was.
A weird kid. You ever watch that movie with Crispin Glover called like, I forget what it's called, Wesley or something. I don't know, but the dude controls rats. That's like what Michael looked like. He looked like a dude who controls rats in a suit. Okay.
It sounds like a terrible like D&D hook. Okay, there's this dude out there in a suit who controls rats. Go find him.
Yeah. I mean, that's when you start like having people pretend they're the Pied Piper, right? Crispin Glover's a weird guy, man. All right. So, yeah. And then what is it Kelly who asks Michael, how do you open a new tab?
Right. Control P. That's print. Not if it's not plugged in.
Yeah, you're making some very dangerous assumptions, Oscar.
I love that. Like he's just like this is like really good showing of like Michael quick on his feet because we see it, in the scene in the caffeine corner where he manages to flip the argument and sort of win, even though he technically loses.
Right. That's right. Let's see. There's a parlay going on with pirate code. Creed can only understand it, but he can't speak it.
I want to know like what more pirate code there is.
Yeah, I think pop it. That's the thing they say in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, like I feel like that joke. Someone saw it and like it got out of hand in the writers' room, and someone's like, "All right, we'll just play."
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, what's great probably about writing jokes for Creed is like they don't need any build up.
No,
He
no.
could say a weird thing and we could all just walk away from it. And
He's
that's
got that unlimited crazy old man crazy currency. They can just say whatever they want.
yeah. What episode was I just watching? But like Creed comes in and starts eating out. It's when they go to the convention. So Creed comes in to ask Angela about the shekels she was passing out. And she leaves when she's insulted about Pennsylvania or Philadelphia not being respected.
Mm-hmm.
So Creed sits down and starts eating her cup of noodles and then introduces himself to Meredith again. It's just like this whole slew of like weird ass things where like we know Creed's known Meredith for at least 3 years.
Right.
So like why in this one instance is like, oh, I'm Creed. Yeah. Crazy dude. Yeah, so Dwight painting such a terrible picture for Pam and Jim.
Yeah, when she's like, Pam is up in the office, during the parlay.
Yeah.
It's like, Cece's going to be a stripper and Jim's going to turn to the bottle.
Right.
It's like, no, Cece's going to be dancing on your grave fully clothed.
Yeah.
And because I think, at this point, or near this point, is when Dwight figures out that Pam was lying.
Right. Him and Nate go to investigate and find out that there's actually no building at that address.
Right. It's like, Pam. It's like what random one was like, I'm Pam.
Yeah. And it's like, as long as you're not a liar. And she's like, I've been known to stretch the truth. And Dwight's like, damn it, Pam, get the hell out of here. It's amazing. Yeah, so then, Dwight like starts to grill Pam on all of the
details of the building, like wants to see the one sheet, and then Pam pulls Jim like, I made up the building. She's like, it's still on a bike path, right? He's like, no, it's not actually.
Yeah.
And we see this sort of vulnerableness out of Pam about her insecurities about her career with art school and being a salesman and now failing as an office administrator.
Right.
I wouldn't say really failing. I don't know if she's actually doing anything besides collecting a paycheck.
Well, and I think that's kind of what the point is. Yeah, she's just there, and it's not great for her. They hug or whatever, but it seems Dwight might have the upper hand here. Jacob, how is this episode going to go?
Yeah, it is. It's one of those things where you're like, well, this is kind of bad for them. Yeah. And then we have this scene down in the caffeine corner where like Michael and Oscar are talking, and like it's everyone's kind of watching. Even though they're like sitting in the corner, like sipping on their coffee, like pretending not to pay attention, but they are.
Yeah, and we didn't really touch up on it. You wrote it, we skipped it, but like this is it's like a coffee shop that Dwight has set up.
Mm-hmm.
Like the numbers are crazy. It's like $8 for a muffin. Right. It's like terrible, but yeah, everybody's sitting down there and they're partaking in Dwight's confectionaries.
Mm-hmm.
And then Oscar just kind of opens up the chat to talk about China.
Right, and he does it in such a weird way. He's like, I asked you down here to talk to you about something, and he starts like really hitting hard on Michael, like, talk about manufacturing and like, is that where we're going versus information technology, which, if you really want to get into that conversation, it's a really interesting conversation, but this is the office, so they don't. But
well, Michael holds his own for a bit.
Right.
And he does some like smart things, like trying to pull the conversation away to specific instances that Michael is more privy to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what Oscar ends up doing with this information stuff, information technology and all that jazz.
Right. And Oscar's such a fucking douche.
Yeah. Right.
Like he's so smug about it and like goes to pay for everything. And then Michael's like, this is what's great about America. I could fire you. And Aaron's like, oh, do it. Fire him.
Right.
Like Aaron loves Michael way too much. Just way too much.
Yeah, it's weird. Well, and also too, I wonder too if she's just like, she still thinks everybody in the office wants to kill her, so she's just like, let's get rid of all these people.
it's Michael is just like it's like back and forth. As long as we can do this, China will never win.
Yeah.
All this stuff, which is pretty funny. And it's like if you dig long enough, you might get to China, but if you dig long enough in a conversation, you'll just find a friend.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like this great instance of just kind of grandstanding. And
Right.
I think part of me doesn't know that Michael knows that he's not actually saying anything. I think he thinks he had a real revelation and doesn't realize how like irrelevant and nonsensical it is. But because people start like, are nodding their heads with him or whatever, he just gets this momentum and it escalates into like this full on
like USA kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
But, I mean, this is very Michael, right? When he's talking, like it reminded me of when he was meeting with David Wallace. He's like, sometimes I start a sentence and I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah. His old improvisation.
It kind of ends up with so Nate drops a book. I'm guessing, like a book of like municipal codes and stuff off
Right.
for Pam.
Yeah.
So Pam's like, hey, you've got to do this as a landlord. So he does all this stuff to, makes the building better. And we see that, he saw her, with Jim and felt bad for her. So he let up. He's like, no, I don't have compassion. Make sure you get that. I'm not compassionate. Because he has this whole big story about like the smart vampires are the ones that don't kill people but let them, live so they can feed on them for years instead of one night.
Right.
A very direct analogy.
Yeah. But we do get this shot of him like in the car, and like he's clearly like happy that he was able to like do this thing.
Right.
And then lastly, Daryl receives one more text.
Right, because Daryl earlier had like threatened to like to block Andy completely.
Right. Yeah. So the text reads, "Crazy pigeon action. Come to the parking lot," or something like that.
Yeah, there's these pigeons just like going to town on some ice cream.
Yeah, one of their heads is like covered in vanilla. It's wonderful.
I wonder if that was a setup shot or like it just kind of happened and they decided to go for it.
Yeah, it had to be a setup to some degree. Must be some trained pigeons, not specifically to eat ice cream, but
just to chill out.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, and that's it. So everybody kind of ends up as friends, and it's all happy.
Right.
I mean, not Oscar. Oscar still is probably a little salty about the whole thing.
I feel like Oscar's always salty.
Yeah, that's right.
That's just like his persona now is salty Oscar.
Yeah. So what do you think, man?
This episode's okay. Like coming into it, I thought my ratings would be reversed.
Yeah.
But I gave this a 3 out of 5. Secrets up high.
Nice. Yeah, it's the same as the last episode. Just like a lot of people get to do stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a fan of Nate throughout the whole show. He's just he's a weird guy. And
he's a weird guy, but I think he's funny.
Yeah, he has moments, but so the instances where they lean on him, I'm not a fan. But I do like this episode quite a bit. So it's a 3.5 out of 5. I didn't think of a pun. So that's what that is. Yeah, solid stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So again, you can check us out at brokenjars.xyz. Next time we're getting in sort of into the meat of it, right? We've got Classy Christmas.
Yeah.
So we are quickly running out of Michael Scott episodes, and it'll probably be very sad when we're done with it.
Yeah, you thought I was real negative about The Office before.
Just wait till I get to the Will Ferrell episodes, man. I'm gonna be like a whole tub of like popcorn salt of salty. Like,
yeah.
I'm just gonna, I hate those
Sprinkle it on.
episodes.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks for coming out. You can find me on Twitter at Jacob Ingalls. J Ray's on like Instagram.
Yeah. JAY__REY.
Yeah, I pull up Instagram like once every 3 weeks. But anyway, please, thanks for coming out. Please check us out. Check out our other shows, Resident Follow Podcast, High Fantasy, Sim Talk. J-Race thing, if he's still doing that. I don't know what you're
We're,
doing.
we're retooling. It's gonna come. Don't
It's
worry.
going to come. Okay.
That's what she said.
That is what she said.
Yeah.
So everyone have a good week, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.